Welcome back to In Ohio Country. Today, our feature story involves Midwest Electric and their rural partnerships. There are so many examples where Midwest Electric has been a key partner in improving the quality of life for businesses, residents, and workers, helping with expansion and creating jobs for businesses, like the Marion Industrial Park in Mercer County. What started in a cornfield is now a thriving business center, and one of those fine businesses there is Moeller Brew Barn. We'll be back with that story and more this week in Ohio Country Today.
It's just a few steps for tradition, for innovation. A few steps so we can all stay connected and live better lives. And just a few steps for all the Touchstone Energy Cooperative members who got us here. Learn more about the power of your co-op membership.
Welcome back to In Ohio Country Today. Big Dan Wilson alongside of Nick Moeller. And Nick is the proprietor, if you will, of Moeller Brew Barn. Nick, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
I want to talk a little bit about your product, but first, one of the cool things is the industry as a whole. You know, you were on the cutting edge, it seemed like, when you opened your microbrew here. And let's talk about the industry here in Ohio and how you became a part of it.
About 7 years ago, I was living in California with my wife, Monica, and we were having our second kid, and we wanted to move back to small town Ohio. And the question was, what were we going to do? In San Diego, the craft beer business was booming, and kind of saw it as a way, we could bring a piece of this to small town Ohio and Midwestern Ohio. So we decided to go for the Moeller Brew Barn concept here in Maria Stein. And, we figured people had to drive to get to the breweries anyway. So having it in a downtown wouldn't necessarily be an advantage. And then, finding this lot in life where, it's beautiful to come drive. You're right off the land of the cross-tipped churches. Ohio Byway, you got the church steeples, the silos, the farmland. So it really seemed like a perfect place to start it and go for it.
The ambiance, of course, is fantastic. And I remember stepping in this place where it was maybe a quarter of the size when you first started. And the expansion that you did here is just tremendous. Of course, you couldn't do it without partners like Midwest Electric. And talk a little bit about their involvement with you and this particular industrial park here in Maria Stein. It's kind of cool.
You brought up some of our cool products, and really the whole space here is the product. It's the people can see the tanks, they can see the brewing process. So right away, back in 2014, I was in touch with Midwest Electric, and as we were preparing for a 2015 launch, we were able to get an economic development loan through them, and with that, we promised to create 5 new jobs, and then within a few years, we were already at 8 new jobs and getting ready for another expansion. So again, when we went into expansion in 2018 and 2019, we approached Midwest Electric again. They saw our success on economic development, and we were able to ask for more money and create more jobs. We guessed that we'd create another 9 jobs, and we've created over 40. So it's been neat to see, not just for this expansion, but to kind of grow the Brew Barn family. And we got a great team.
Well, what's cool is the fact that you have another location. It's not just the fact that you're growing here in Maria Stein, but let's talk about your second location as well.
Yeah, so in the city of Troy. The city of Troy was great to work with. Same type of thing. They're all about economic development and making a neat spot for Miami County and also for tourism, bringing people into downtown Troy. So that's been a good partnership, and again another another 40 employees in Troy. So we've been able to build a big team there, working off the same principles that we have here, which is, just kind of summed up as do it right the first time and do it well. And, that motto kind of flows throughout the organization. And so therefore we got good beer.
Yeah, you do. There's no question about it. Your product, let's talk a little bit about that product. I know you started with a couple of different types that are still with you today as far as the brand is concerned, but you also have the seasonality of some of the brews that you do. And maybe talk about how that all came to fruition, what you chose, the ingredients that are involved, especially from an ag standpoint, where those ingredients come from.
Right. Well, now you're making me thirsty for beers like our Frogtown IPA. That was one of our original IPAs, and that's still here today. The first summer that we were open, we developed the Wally Post Red, and we really made that into a good beer for this area. And
now, why don't you explain Wally Post Red to our viewers out there who don't know the history of Wally Post?
Of course, Wally Post was Cincinnati Redleg in the 1950s, in the major league in the 1950s. He's in the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. So really a local legend. His family helped start the Cancer Association of Mercer County, and beyond that, just a great family to kind of help keep sharing the story of Wally Post.
Once again, let's move on to some of your other brews too, man. It's just some great stuff.
Right. Mo Weizen is another original product, and but we keep innovating. One of our latest beer releases is the Hopyard 500. That's our 500th batch of beer. We made that with hops from Hopyard 29. They're here in Ohio, located east of Sydney, and Meyer Lodge and Chris Meyer, they do such great work, in their community, and that's what's neat with working with different companies and different communities. Yeah. Everyone's pulling together to do good. So it's a neat industry to be a part of, but also with hops like Hopyard 29s, we get to create new beers and show people a new product. We really focus on putting a good product, in the can. Really develop that trust with the customer that when they order a Moeller from the tap lineup or pick up that 6-pack, that you're going to get a good beer. But our marketing and branding is pretty forward. It's neat. It's clean. It's simple, and it's a little bit rural. It's got the rooster is a good mark, but I think it translates into rural Ohio. But beyond that too, it's if you think about Columbus, that's Cowtown, USA. So I think our brand translates into the city too, because folks are like, oh man, I love getting out in the country and visiting friends and family, and are taking those drives out to places like Maria Stein, Ohio, and kind of enjoying what else Ohio has to offer.
I have to tell you, I've been a big fan of yours ever since you started, and to watch your growth since that first small part of this barn that you started in as far as the microbrew was concerned, to see where it is today. So what's the future hold for you, Nick?
That's a good question. We got, my wife and I have 3 kids, so whenever I get that question, that's first in the perspective. But we just want to keep building a good brand, keep being product development forward, and like I said, the Moeller Brew Barn in Troy, in that old 1912 building, it's a beautiful church, and we really brought a neat product to life with this brew barn expansion, and all the windows that looks out into rural Western Ohio. That's part of the product. So I've got my eyes open. To be another big project, it's got to be something pretty special. But other than that, just trying to keep doing the right thing and see when that next growth opportunity is.
Nick, you've got a great website for people to get more information. What is it?
Yeah, visit MoellerBrewBarn.com. We got all our beers on there, our menu, and check out our Facebook page. We put all the pretty pictures on there and tell you about all the events going on, and keeping you up to date with the products that we got going on. Our next beer is the Winans Wordle Nut Brown Ale. Winans Chocolates and Candies is a great product here in Ohio, and we used whole wordles in the brew kettle, and I think that'll be out next week. It should have some good chocolatiness and nuttiness.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I love the fact that you are very creative when it comes to your seasonal brews as well. So Nick Moeller has been our guest from Moeller Brew Barn here in beautiful Maria Stein. We want to thank our friends at Midwest Electric for helping us provide this particular story to you. And once again, for more information, Nick, where do they go?
MoellerBrewBarn.com. Thanks for having me, Dan.
And thanks for joining us. We'll be back with more in Ohio Country today, right after this.
It's just a few steps for tradition, for innovation. A few steps so we can all stay connected and live better lives. And just a few steps for all the Touchstone Energy Cooperative members who got us here. Learn more about the power of your co-op membership